All right, you can't laugh at me when I say this, but I'm extremely skeptical. I know that I go around talking about magic and how I believe in magic and I'm a wizard and I manifest lightning and all that stuff, which is true, you know? But overall, I am absolutely a skeptic. I don't believe in stuff that I haven't directly experienced. So a lot of times people, when they hear me talk about the things that I believe, they think, oh, she's very naive. What a cute, silly person that is. And I mean, that's probably true. I am kind of a cute, silly person. Oh, we've got the Daughter of Arrows. It's it's basically the Page of Swords. Have you been feeling like these old things, these old fears, anxieties that used to bring you down? Are they popping up again in sort of an intense way? I've been dealing with that. Like this this card in particular, talks about being a little over, like hyper vigilant about your safety, hyper vigilant about making sure that you're paying attention to what might go wrong, you know, problem solving, you know, being like really focused on potential issues that might come up, which is not, you know, it's not bad to be aware of, you know, whatever's going on. That's not, but you want to do it from an energy of objectiveness, from sort of a neutral place, rather than the place of, oh, everything goes wrong and so I have to keep an eye out and make sure that nothing goes wrong. It's not so much a place of control where you're holding on so tight and you're watching and you're keeping an eye on things. It's more like, the word that comes to mind is prudence. It's a pretty name, Prudence. Why don't you come out to play? And you don't have to be so serious. You know, Prudence, oh, that sounds serious. She doesn't want to come out to play. Dear Prudence, it's a brand new day. But Prudence is, it's that awareness of cause and effect, of consequences, because there are, you know, prudence is not touching the stove when you know it's hot, so that you don't get burned. It's not, you know, you're not saying, oh, well, I don't want to make a decision based off of fear-based decisions. That's not the way, so I'm going to touch that stove. No, you know the stove is hot. You don't want to touch the stove. I look under the deck, popping out. We've got the Mother of Roots. She's the Mother of Pentacles, or the Queen of Pentacles. Queen of Pentacles has been coming up a lot for me personally, which I'm really hoping is an indication of upcoming abundance, not just the kind where the baby bun comes running through my garden, but true material abundance. That's sort of what I'm hoping for. And I think there's, you know, I don't pay that much attention to astrology, but I do feel sort of the vibes of the world, you know, like I sort of pick up on different things here and there, and there's a lot of chaos right now, and I think there's a lot of people who are, ooh, yeah, look what we got just flying out. The 10 of Pentacles. This is the wealth card. 10 of Pentacles, sort of confirming that for us. So I'm going to do a reading for it's a collective reading. I've been watching a lot of tarot videos on YouTube lately, and sort of getting a hang of, trying to get the hang of how other people do it, so that I can do my own way. And so I felt called to do a collective reading, and it's also a reading that pertains to me as well. So like I'm part of this collective, if you will. So if you're watching this, and it feels resonant, if what I'm saying feels empowering to you, that's what I want you to think about. Does this information make me feel empowered? Does this information make me want to take steps in my life that are not just for my own personal betterment, but does it make me feel like there is possibility? Does it make me feel like I can do these things? Does it make me feel like it is healing for me to hear this? Or if you feel some kind of a weird like pressure, if you feel pressured that it's telling you you're doing something wrong, oh, you need to change this, and it makes you feel sort of inky, and it makes you feel like you start going into that realm of self-pity. You don't want to be there. And so just as sort of a piece of advice when it comes to any spiritual or anything, any media that you consume, any videos, even stuff that are, like this, where it seems like it's from a spiritual standpoint, and it feels healing and it feels resonant. But if you feel like it's bringing you down in some way, if you feel like it's harshing your vibes, if you feel like, ugh, then, maybe that's not the reading for you. Maybe you should find something that might feel a little bit softer. You don't have to beat yourself up in order to heal. In fact, I recommend not beating yourself up to heal. I find that method is the exact opposite of what you want to be doing for healing. So anyway, that really long, it's been a while since I've done a tarot reading on here, so thanks for listening to my fun intro. And so yeah, let's see what's going on. Let's see what the cards have to say. Aside from perhaps being a little hypervigilant and expecting major blessings in the material realm, what else is going on? Like what do we need to keep in mind? I like to cut the deck 3 times. I have 2 tarot decks and my runes, so we'll see what all wants to come forward. So God, the 2 of Swords. 2 of Swords. Yeah, I mean, I feel like I've very much been in a 2 of Swords place in my mind, where I've got these 2, inside me are 2 wolves, or I guess in this case there's a wolf and a puma. And they're fighting, inside of me there's somebody inside of me who wants to tell me, oh, hello, I've got a rufous-sided towhee, just flew by. So there's a part of me that wants to lean into that belief that you need to hustle in order to survive, that like you have to kill yourself, you have to do things you don't want to do in order to survive this world, which, that is a perspective. Like, that is absolutely something I've experienced. I have experienced the world where I have to struggle and I have to hustle and I have to sacrifice what's important to me in order to survive. But what I'm realizing is that I'm in a different place. I'm not in that place anymore. I don't have to choose that path. And when you've lived your whole life choosing that path because you think it's the only safe one, you think that it's the only one that's going to keep you from falling into the abyss of of fear and scarcity and whatnot. And so, you've got these two perspectives, and one of them feels really impossible. This is, at least for me, one of these paths feels so stupid when compared with the expectations of society, when compared with the shit that people say we're supposed to be doing and the way we're supposed to be doing it. To say, yeah, but I'm a wizard and I'm just going to use magic to manifest my stuff. I'm just going to do that. To say that, for most people, they're going to say, can I call the the mental health crisis line for you or something? But no, and that's why you know, if you really believe in magic, you gotta be discerning with how you talk about it. Because you know, the path of the wizard, not everybody understands the wizard. And so if you're a wizard, if you understand what I'm saying, if you walk a weird path, something I've learned is that you kind of have to be mysterious. You know, if you think of our, well, we got some chickadees now. Oh, hello, black cap chickadee. Yeah, no, chickadees are in agreement with me. The chickadees are saying, you know, they don't worry, because the earth has everything. Like, everything we need is here. It's literally here in front of us. That's what's so frustrating to me in a lot of ways, is that we think that we have to live here. It was just 11:11 on the timer. We think we have to live here in this place of hypervigilance, in this place of, well, we have to suffer, we have to work hard, we have to not do the wrong things, we can't make mistakes, you know, we have to earn our worth. We have to sacrifice who we are in order to feel safe. But the truth of the matter is that the sloth here, even the sloth, has some really wonderful skills, some wonderful tools to keep her safe. And the sloth is able, because they're so slow and the moss grows on them, they blend right in. They don't really have to be that worried about predators in that way. And so many of us have similar protections. We have been through things. We've been through challenges. We've learned lessons. And we just really have to start trusting that we are more capable, we are more able to make the choices that will lead us to where we want to go. And so the fear really is like, oh man, are we going to make a bad choice again? Are we going to do the thing we always do? Are we going to do the thing that always leads us right back to where we don't want to be? It leads us back to fear. It leads us back to doubt. Is that what we're doing? And it could be, you know, but the thing is that you're different. You're a different person. And so from where you're at, you can see both of the things. You can see this is the path of fear, of fitting in, of making sure that I don't make mistakes. And then this is the path of nobody's ever done this the way, or I've never seen anybody do this the way I want to do it. And not everybody agrees with it. And it might make some people mad, and maybe it's audacious. But maybe that's the way. And that's where you're at. And so, you know, I hear people talk about timelines. I never really got timelines. I'm like, I don't know, that sounds like some woo-woo bullshit to me. But if you think about it in the way that, like, let's say you had the opportunity to do something new and different, and then you had the opportunity at the same time, you know, you have this choice come up, and so you can either do what you always do. You can follow that path that looks really familiar and safe, which isn't always a bad thing. You know, a lot of times that leads to a lot of happiness, and there's nothing wrong with that. If you want to walk the path that is familiar and that's satisfying to you, then do it. It's there for you. But if there's this other path that you see and you're like, man, that path looks kind of fun, I think I might like to take that path. It's okay to make those mistakes. It's okay, and it doesn't matter what mistakes you've made along the way, because those mistakes that you've made, even though you're on a new path, even though you're doing new crazy things, I guarantee you that all the things that you learned up until this point have given you tools to get through exactly what you need to get through right now, to follow that timeline, to follow the timeline that you prefer, whether that is the timeline of relative structure and safety and knowing, or if that's some timeline of like some dark abyss of what in the hell am I supposed to do here? And that's the question, isn't it? How do you know? How do you know what choice to make? And let me tell you, the choice to make, let's see, what's the magical choice? What makes you feel alive on this planet? What is it about life? What is it about your existence that makes you feel enchantment? What is it that juices you up, that gets you going, that makes you want to work? And not necessarily those, like, and this is an earth card. It's not about that, spark of inspiration, because the spark of inspiration, at least for me, is easy. I get sparks of inspiration all day, every day. They pop in and I'm like, haha, look at all these great ideas. And I don't have the time or the energy. No, I don't think anybody would have I would have to have a whole team of elves in order to get all my ideas out there. And so the spark of inspiration is great, but it's not going to carry you through the whole thing. The spark is fleeting. And so if it's a real good idea, you have to find the magic in it so that you can embody that. And if you can't embody what you're trying to do, if you can't find the enchantment, if you can't figure out how to put your heart and soul into it in a way that makes you feel like you're doing something, and not that it's easy necessarily, because it's not always easy. Things are not as easy as sometimes we would like them to be, but they're also not as hard as we want to make them. All right, let's see what else we got coming through. Ooh, the Daughter of Feathers. So this is what I'm talking, this is sort of that spark of inspiration I'm talking about. The Page of Wands, Daughter of Feathers in this deck. Very creative, but also willing to learn. The pages are new. The pages are like the babies in a way. They're the students. You don't send the king on a message route. You're not gonna send the King of Pentacles to send a message. You're not gonna send him to school. The King of Pentacles knows what the fuck's going on. The Daughter of Feathers, or the Page of Pentacles, she's got all of this spirit. She's got all of this inspiration, this creative energy. She's got ideas. She's coming in with the ideas. And they're great. They're great ideas. It's not that they're not good ideas. They're wonderful ideas. But as I was saying with this Ace of Pentacles, this Ace of Roots, is that you need both. You need to find what gives you the stamina to keep going. And some projects aren't going to give that to you if you're like me. If you're a creative person like me, some projects just aren't going to do that for you. Some projects are meant for others. Some projects are meant for later. Some projects, it's maybe not their time. And you have to trust that. If you're living a creative life, you have to trust those cycles. Because if something's meant to exist in the world, it's going to come out. It's going to be born. You can't prevent something from being born if it wants to be born. And so you really can't miss out, because even if you don't birth an idea, if you remain open, if you remain creative, if you remain hopeful, you will always have these new ideas. There's always ideas coming in. Because as creative people, that's part of the thing, is just we get these freaking downloads all the time. I don't know if you're like me, I do anyway. Where I just get these ideas and all kinds of ideas and things that I'm like, well, I can't make a movie right now. I'm not like set up for that. But that would be a great idea. And so for me, I get overwhelmed. And when I get overwhelmed, I get overwhelmed because I get into this part where I can't figure out what the right thing to do is. I'm like, oh, well, do I do this? Do I do that? What's the fear-based option? And it's like, don't worry, you can't worry so much. It's literally about, where's the magic? It's like, where is the magic right now? And if you find that, then just work with that. And sometimes the magic is easy. Sometimes it's so much easier than we're willing to accept. We love to complicate things by overthinking, and that's a lot of what this two of swords, man, is. There's overthinking that happens that causes you to question what you know in your heart to be the right path. And so that's why you kind of have to get your mind on board. It's a whole thing. It's a whole process. What else we got here? Oh, Son of Roots. There's a lot of pentacles. We got a whole pentacle family almost. Well, we got the brother and sister, I guess. So this guy is like the Knight of Pentacles. And this guy, the Knight of Pentacles, knights are, they like to take action. They're very decisive. They're going in, they're doing their thing, And the fun thing about the Knight of Pentacles, the the Son of Roots, look at him. He's a cute mole. He's scooting in there. He's scooting in. He's not hesitating. He's doing it. He's digging in, and then he gets the prize because he's dug in. Because he's dug into the dirt. He's really gotten to the bottom of the... He's gotten to the source, I think, in this instance. And so, like, what that says to me, for us, for our collective, our creative collective, discerning action. I just keep hearing discerning action. And discerning action where you're not overthinking, you're not second guessing, but you're also not overacting, you're not reacting. There's a sense of discernment, of patience, of waiting for timing. And the Son of Roots, not only does he act, but he also, you can see, he is enjoying the fruits. Or he's about to, at least. He's like, yeah, look how happy he is. He's like, heck yeah, this is exactly what I wanted. So a lot of us, for me at least, what happens to me is I have a lot of night energy where I like to do stuff, I like to get in there, do the things. It's like, I know what I need to do and I'm gonna do it. And so, as long as I'm not overthinking, if I know what I need to do, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna get in there and do it. And that has gotten me into some really obnoxious scenarios because I don't think about it. Not that it's a fine line, all right? It's a fine line. There is overthinking, but then there's a sweet spot where if you are if you've become friends with your brain, if you've recognized, like, okay, this is what my mind does. What my mind does is it wants to figure out solutions. That's its job. Its job is logistics. Its job is not creativity. Its job is not life management, even. The brain's job is logistics. The brain's job is, if there's something you got to figure out, the brain's really good at that. If you got to do some math, the brain is really good at that. If you're like, Susie has 18 apples and Johnny has 27 apples, and they went to Pittsburgh and 17 cows came in and ate 50% of their apples. But then, if you have a math problem, that's great. The mind, really good at that stuff. All right, I'm gonna pull another card. Just clarify. Oh, geez, we're getting a lot of people coming in, and so it's possible that for me, when I do readings for myself, I generally take the cards, even the court cards. They're aspects of me, in my experience, how I read for myself personally. However, for you, if you identify one of these court cards, one of these people cards, I mean, this is a bird, but it's the father of feathers. It's the king of wands. If you identify any of them as somebody outside in your outside life, then of course, like, you can, you have your own intuitive faculties, my friends. So whatever I'm telling you, you can sort of fit it into your own life experience. And so even if the specifics are maybe a little bit off, it's really about the vibe. It's about what you're hearing and what you're getting, and what resonates for you, what feels right for you. So anyway, we got this father of feathers, this king of wands. Man, the king of wands, he's an action guy too. But he's kind of just, what I'm saying is that, like, the father of wands, he knows discerning action, or he can know discerning action, in his most elevated position. The king of wands doesn't let fear deter him from making the right action. And so you'll see here, you can look, like, he's on the outside of this fire. And it almost looks like, to me, it looks like he's caused this forest fire. I'm not sure how this guy would have done that, but, like, it looks like to me, he's like, haha, whoops, So he went in there and he had to do something, he had to do something, and it caused this forest fire. And the forest fire, to us, in some, from our perspective, that can seem really destructive and really terrible, like the tower, like a tower moment, like everything gets burned down and destroyed. But the thing about a fire in nature, is that what happens is it actually gives nutrients to the soil, and it allows for new growth to occur. And so sometimes we make these choices, and sometimes we take these actions, or sometimes we are guided to take actions, and we think, well, I don't feel comfortable doing that because I don't know what the consequences are going to be. I don't know if all these unknowns are going to lead me somewhere that I want to be, or is it going to lead me to more whatever you don't want? Is it going to lead me to a big forest fire? Am I self-sabotaging? Well, let me tell you something. You will not know until you find out. And the King of Swords doesn't worry about that. The King of Wands doesn't worry about that. The King of Wands knows that if there is an action that comes from the heart, whatever side effects occur were meant to occur. And I want you when I tell you that, I want you to use your discernment about what I mean, because I'm not trying to tell you to lean into your most evil selves so that and then justify it by saying, oh well, Hannah said because the king of wands, he just does whatever he wants and doesn't think about consequence. No, that's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is that if the fears that you have are, if they're like, oh, I won't be loved, or people are gonna be like mad because I'm not supposed to sing out loud. Everybody's told me my whole life that I have a terrible voice or that I'm not funny or whatever, and so I'm not going to take up that space because taking up that space is wrong because of whatever stories other people told you. It's things like that. Things like that where a fear can come in and you're like, oh, I don't want to do that because I don't want people to think I'm stupid or something. It's that kind of stuff. That kind of stuff, the Father of Wands doesn't care. He does what he knows to be right in his heart. And if that's a crazy creative choice, or if that's like making some kind of wild lifestyle change or whatever, even when it might cause a little destruction, that doesn't necessarily mean that it is the wrong choice. Sometimes we need some destruction. Speaking of which, dang it, tower. Yeah, I mean, I personally have been feeling, I've been feeling like I've been pretending like the tower has been over. I've been dealing with the tower moment for years now, and I keep saying, well, now it's over, and it hasn't been over. It's been, oh God, it's been like so many towers. And now, this feels like it. Like, this feels like the last little bits. The last little pieces of this cycle are being burned away. And it may have felt in the last week. I had a really intense week. I had a lot of emotions that I had to go through. I had a lot of stress, and there were times when I fell into self-pity and fell into like that old place of, oh, I'm never gonna make it. How am I gonna make it through this? How am I gonna do it? How am I supposed to survive this world? I was feeling but and when you are in that place, it's really hard to feel like people are supporting you, and it's really hard to feel good about who you are and what you're doing. And I was feeling also, because I felt like I had come so far, I was like, what am I doing in this stupid self-pity puddle? This is dumb. I don't live here anymore. We don't live in self-pity anymore. And so it was really hard for me to not only be feeling like such a failure and such a doofus, but also to be like, man, I don't even want to be here. Like, this isn't even... I know this isn't what I'm supposed to be doing. But I made it through, I wasn't... It wasn't fun, and I wasn't happy about it, but I did make it through. I made it through, and when you make it through that, what you realize is you're really not alone. You're never alone. Even if it's just you and you, even if it's just you and your dog, you and God, you and your cat, whatever, you are never truly alone. How can we be alone? How can we ever be alone when we are all made out of the same little bubbles of energy as anything else? How can we be utterly alone when we are connected to such an extent? And I used to be really upset about the tower, but I think that this last session of tower vibes kind of helped me to see the power in it, and that the tower is not actually, I mean, yeah, it is a pain, right? Like, you have to deal with some dumb stuff, and it sucks. But it's not as painful as not dealing with whatever the tower is hiding, because the tower has to come down because it's hiding something. Do you ever have that feeling? I used to get this feeling a lot, and I still do, actually. Where, like, you know your closet is really messy, and you haven't cleaned your closet in ages, and every time you go and you look in there, you're like, oh my god, this is a hot mess. This closet is the worst. It is terrible. And you're like, yeah, whatever, I'm gonna just close the door and not think about it. Well, for me, even if I'm not thinking about it, it's like I can still feel it back there. It's like it's there. It's like that closet that needs to be cleaned out with all that stuff in it, all that junk. It's a mess. Things are unpacked. It's just a hot mess. It's there. Even if I'm not consciously thinking about it, I can feel it. And then I dread doing it. I'm like, oh, I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to look at it. I don't want to deal with it. I'm going to close the door. But it doesn't mean that the mess is gone. The mess is there. It's literally still there, haunting you. And the tower is hiding that mess. The tower is what we put around the stuff that we don't want to look at. And so sometimes when we have this lightning of enlightenment, it's one of the reasons they call it that. But if you get this like zap of awareness, the tower has to come down, because you cannot keep hiding all that stuff if you're trying to move on, if you're trying to go somewhere else. The tower's not on wheels. You don't get to drag it around with you. You gotta tear it down. You gotta look at the stuff it's hiding. You have to deal with it. And then you can move forward. And then you get to this point. You get to this place where you're like, oh my God, everything is actually beautiful because I'm not alone. And because there's so much to be grateful for in this world. And the way that you get through the tower is you have to learn how to trust your intuition. You have to learn how to trust yourself. You have to see you have to get into the shadows, man. You have to know what your shadows are. You have to know about your darkest, deepest messed upness. Because if you don't know about it, it's still there. It's just under the surface. It's veiled. You have to go behind the veil. You have to break it down. You have to burn down the illusions so that you can see what's actually behind the veil, and so that you can actually look at it and heal from whatever it is that thing caused in your life. And the High Priestess is here to remind you that you know how to do it. You do know how to do it, and you have been doing it. You've been doing it. And I know that it's been really hard. And I know that it's been really lonely sometimes, trying to be the only one who is carrying this torch. You think you're the only one who believes in magic even. I don't know, that's how I was feeling, like, oh, I'm the only one. But then, you know, you go on the internet and look at all these people believing in magic. Man, there's people who believe crazier shit than I do. But look, okay, when you get through all of this, you get strength. And how do you get strength? You don't, you know, some people, I guess, are just born with strength, but some of us are born sensitive. Some of us are born real delicate with, like, thin skins, you know? And that, you know, there's nothing wrong with that. And I love the idea, you know, I really strive, or maybe not strive isn't the right word, but, like, in my mind, I want to live in a world where we are all safe to express ourselves. Oh, serpent power. Look, we got another lightning bolt. So I've taken out my Tantric Dakini Oracle. 39. 369 has been very, all year, 369. I turned 36. It's a 9-year, right? 9, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, it's a 9-year. So right away we get this serpent power, and this is like the Kundalini energy, and so that's, you know, that's what, when you start to become aware and you start to embody, you start to notice sensations in your body. You start to notice things. You start to notice energies in life in this way that is not just like metaphorical, but in a really real way. And when you start experiencing those really real physical symptoms, it can be really overwhelming, and it can be really crazy and scary, and it can make you feel like a crazy person. Snakes have been coming up a lot too. I've been seeing snakes a lot. Classic transformation shit, you know, they shed their skin. Not a lot of things, just shed their skin, you know? It's a real good symbol. So we're all going through this transformation, but what it's doing is it's giving us strength, because, like I said, a lot of us artists, we're real sensitive, and it can be easy for us to fall into that place of self-pity. And that's where the strength comes in. That's where, you know, we've got this. You gotta know, you have to know that inside of you are both of these things. Inside of you is this amazing psychic woman. This woman who knows things. And the reason she knows things is because she listens. She listens to the night. She listens to the spirits. She listens to the invisible. She listens to things other people don't know to listen to, or don't know how to listen to. And because of that, she knows stuff. And you know stuff. You know stuff because you've been through stuff and you've integrated it and you've learned from it. And so you can take strength from that. You don't have to keep thinking, oh, I'm gonna keep walking this dumb path that I always walk. You don't have to keep thinking that, because you're not. You're this strong bear. Look at that bear. That bear is walking the path. That bear is not gonna let any little, this transformation snake is gonna come and mess this bear up. Nah, man, this bear's got it. This bear's got it, and this bear is gonna feed its community. You see? So you have this in you. You have these things in you, and you can stop doubting it, because self-pity, man, it's not cute anymore. It's not cute, and you know it. You can feel that it's not cute anymore. You can feel that it's not the place you want to be. Yeah, we're done. We're over it. We're done. We are shedding that part of ourselves. It's an old part of ourselves, and it doesn't mean that it wasn't important for us to go through that. It doesn't mean that it was all for naught. No, all that needed to happen. But it doesn't need to happen like that anymore. We have the opportunity to choose a new way. Woohoo! And that's kind of that's the joke, is that once we figure out how easy it is, once we figure out that, like, oh shit, man, I didn't have to make this so hard. But you did. You did have to make it so hard because you didn't know. You wouldn't have known unless you went through all that dumb stuff. Unless you went through all the tower moments and all the self-pity and all of that. If you hadn't gone through all of that and then been able to witness yourself change and transform into something totally new. The butterfly doesn't carry around the goo and the chrysalis that it used to need to become a butterfly. And you don't know what's in the future. You don't know what's coming. When you become a new person and you decide to do new shit and to take a different path, well, new things are coming up all the time. You're always going to run into something new and different that you're going to have to learn from. But the hard lessons can be over. You can choose now to step into easier lessons, like more fun lessons. Like in school, there were days when you had to learn the Pythagorean theorem and you said, this sucks and I hate it. And then there were days when you got to go to a field trip to the aquarium and that was fun, Well, now you're done with the Pythagorean theorem. You just get to go on field trips to the aquarium. Yeah, and see, this is another high priestess. This is the high priestess of this deck, basically. She also comes up when I'm on my period, which I am. Haha. TMI for y'all. The Scarlet Woman. But the Scarlet Woman, man, she just like I've been saying, she knows. She knows that even if she runs into a situation that she hasn't run into before, she knows that she can figure it out. She knows that she has the tools. She knows she has the connections. She knows she has the spiritual support because she talks to them. She hears from them. She sees the synchronicities. She sees all the signs coming up, and it's obvious to her. And she is confident in her knowing. And you can be confident in your knowing. You're allowed to do that. You don't have to fit in anymore. It is safe. It is safe to no longer try and change your colors to suit other people. You don't have to do that anymore. You're allowed to be this audacious, knowing person in your life. Here's 33, Eternal Life. This is a good one too. Because what you're doing now, the stuff you were doing before, it was like you had to be reminded of who you were. And now that you know who you are, now that you know your power, now that you know what you're capable of, now that you know that even if you might slip into self-pity once in a while, you're going to come out of it and it's going to be all right. Now you're able to build actual things that are going to support not just you, you're going to support generations after you. You're going to be able to build something that's going to be able to sustain not just you, but you're building something bigger. And I don't necessarily mean financially, but whatever it is that you're doing, whatever structures you're focusing on to transmute into something new, whatever that is, it's going to give you some kind of a legacy. It's going to last beyond just this lifetime. And the things that you are seeking to build in this lifetime go beyond just this lifetime as well. There are factors at play that are bigger than just your lifetime. There's your past lives, there's your future lives, there's all your ancestors, there's all of these different energies at play that go so far beyond just your one individual incarnation right here, if you can believe that. If you can, it will blow your mind. Yeah, the mind, man. And the blow your mind card, I love that this is coming up because this card, it reminds, it's like that emoji. There's a blow your mind emoji, right? The little guy with the That's this. This is, it's like, you had no idea that you were going to be able to manifest this shit in your life. You had no idea that what you were doing was going to lead you here, is what I'm getting. Is that, like, yeah, you might think that you have an inkling, you have an intuition, you know, with your high priestess self and all of these skills that you're gaining, you kind of have an idea that something major is coming, but like you have no clue. You have no clue what it is that you're capable of and what you're gonna do, and it's gonna be cool. And you're gonna be like, how'd I do that? How'd I get here? Oh yeah, look at Phoenix. Yeah, the Phoenix. I mean, that just confirms everything that I'm saying, is that, like, you don't have to live the same old life. You don't have to do the same old things that you did. You don't have to believe the things that you used to believe about yourself, because you're a different person. All your cells have been upgraded. You know, you have upgraded your psyche, your spirit, you're connected, you know, like all these things, you know, and you're there. You may not be seeing a lot of big changes outwardly yet, but let me tell you that, like, with the shit that you've gone through, with this transformation that you've had, with this major transformation that has taken, I mean, I know that you could probably say that it's taken the last several years, but I would argue that it's taken not just this lifetime, but like I said, it's taken many lifetimes. It's taken so many lifetimes for you to get here. And we need that. The world is ready. The world is ready for something new, something different. And that's why you're here, is to blow our minds, you know, because you've transformed yourself into a divine, mythical, magical creature. And so now it's your turn to blow our minds. I invite you to do it with love and discernment. Well, and then we've got the Fool, or the Joker. I like it. I like how it's the Joker in this deck. You know, he's the Joker. He's a smoker. He's a midnight toker. Playing the music in the sun. Yeah, that's you. You know, like that. Honestly, like that song. He's just living his life. He's chilling. We're here to play, you guys. We're here to play, and and the serious people have been in charge. All these serious bastards have been in charge for so long. It's all so fucking serious, you guys. Can we stop being so serious? We all need to be. If you are ready to step into your Joker, Fool, mystical, wizard, weird self, please do it. Please do it. We need it. We need it. We need to be less serious. We need to take our not seriousness. It's gotten too serious. We need to have more fun, you guys. Life could be fun. We could be having a nice time right now. We could all be having a nice time right now. Do you realize that? That there is enough to go around for everyone? There's no need to fight. There's no need to feel insecure. There's no need to put other people down. There's no need to put yourself down, because nobody knows what's going on. Nobody has any idea. People think they know what's going on. People think, oh yeah, I'm in charge of my life. Oh yeah, yeah, sure, okay. Well, when a hurricane comes in and destroys whatever you got going on, then tell me. But there's so many unknowns in life. You have no idea what today will bring. You don't know if somebody's going to knock on your door and be like, excuse me, are you a so-and-so? You had a long-lost uncle who had no heirs, no children, and you're the last remaining descendant, and so here's $17 bajillion. You have no idea. You really have no clue. And so that's how you should live your life. Now that you've figured out, now that you've gone through all these lessons, now that you have seen the way that it can be, now that you see that if you're not living in this place of self-pity, if you're not living in this place of, oh, woe is me, all is terrible, and sometimes it feels like that. And you can visit. You're allowed to visit. It's important to visit. You know, you have to remind yourself, this is not where we want to live. Like, but you don't have to visit if you don't want to. But it doesn't have to be so hard. We're all gonna die, you guys. We're all gonna croak. We're all gonna die, and it's all gonna be for naught anyway. So you may as well have had a good time, and you may as well have tried to facilitate nice times for others in whatever way that makes you happy, you know. All right, we're gonna pull a rune or two because I said I would, and then this is the longest reading I ever did. How about that? All right, let's see what final messages can we come to from the runes? 3 just jumped into my hand. Ah, yes. Okay. Well, we've got Thurisaz, our friend Thurisaz. This is the Thor rune. We've got Laguz, and we've got Perthro. So what these 3 are, I think, saying to me, Thurisaz is the thorn. Perthro is like your fate, your destiny, or, you know, karma. So, you know, runes are deep. You know, there's a lot with runes. These 3 together, I think, are really just reflecting a lot of what I was saying, in that our lives are set up so that we can experience things that are sometimes painful. Sometimes we go through shit. Everybody does. And that can either give you a chance to grow, or it can give you a chance to really wallow, you know, to get real deep in the mud, and to decide that life is terrible, and to decide that because you've experienced terrible things, that life must be that way. And that seals your fate. You can allow bad things to define your life. You can allow what you've been through to define who you are and where you're going. But you can also not do that. You can also choose not to do that. You can choose to see all of the things that happen as not personal, and to take action based off of what you feel is right in your heart. And if you're wallowing in self-pity, there's no clear message from your heart. So you have to get clear on that. You have to get clear on your worth, and you have to get clear on your values and what you know that you want to bring into the world, or what you know is important, because that's really your power. Is and the Thurisaz, even though it's the thorn, or it's Thor, you know, like with the hammer, you know, Thor isn't scared of a storm. Thor loves the storm. Thor brings the storm, right? The storm brings what you need to finish your quest. So if you have a quest, you have to get real comfortable in the storm. Get real comfortable in the storm, because the storm has secrets. The storm has keys. And that can be really potent. So I invite you to do that. I invite you to make friends with the storm, make friends with your demons. Now be careful with that. I hear demons can be pretty feisty and tough, but I try and make them tea. I try and hold space for them, for my demons as much as I can, because they're my demons. I'm some of them I brought into the world, and it's my job to transmute them. It's my job to take care of them. It's my job to look at the places that I feel unloved and to see where I can build that, and to see where I can love myself better. And it can be really hard. But what I'm seeing is that you're doing it. What I'm seeing is that you've done it, and you know how to do it. And you are the high priestess. You are the fool in the best way. The divine fool, the Joker. You're unbothered. Ultimately unbothered. And even if there's a part of you that is bothered, there's also that part of you that's not bothered, back there. And so, allow yourself to be bothered, if that's what you need to do. But know that it's a performance that you're doing. Know that you're throwing a tantrum. Recognize that you are a child. That you have reverted into a place of immaturity, and that you're throwing a tantrum. And that's allowed. Kids throw tantrums. But they always come out of it, and they're like, whatever. They don't define their lives by it. Nobody has a tantrum for, well, maybe some people have tantrums forever, but you won't. All right, I'm going to leave that here because this is long as heck. If you've made it through this whole video, holy moly, please leave a comment. I'd love to hear from you. If you're the kind of person who is willing to sit and listen to me for an hour and 2 minutes, we should be friends. Thank you for being here. Go out, be yourself, make art, have a nice time. We can do it. I'm excited for us. Way to go.